right, we are recording. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I have logged into my Vault account here. This is a test account, so I don't have some of the things in here that you might have as an agent, but this is also a Deluxe account. As I said before, I'm going to be using a Deluxe account to show all of the web builder features, and I'll try to point out along the way the differences between the Essential and the Deluxe account. So the only way to get to Web Builder once you log into the Vault, of course, is to hit the Web Builder tile there, and it'll launch your Web Builder, your website actually, and it launches it in editing mode. You can tell you're in editing mode by this bar across the top here. You'll see this. There'll be a little button over here on the left, and then your bell icon here, and then 3 dots for settings at the top right here. So like I said once before, I'm just going to cover the things that are new that we just recently launched. And some of the things that we just launched have to do with this rotating banner here on the front page. So you'll see a few differences. I have all the default images and videos back in there. But if I go up here to the 3 red dots on the right, here's the Manage Banner tool right here. So this is how I'm going to manage those banners that are rotating in the back there. So if you haven't done anything yet on your banners, you'll have those default ones in there that we've put for everyone's website to start with. If you are an Essential user, you are only going to have this button here that says Import from Library. So you can import an image from our Community Photos library. If I click that button, our library is going to pop up here. It's a little bit different than how it was before. And you'll see that all these images are kind of mixed up and jumbled, but I've categorized them in different areas here. So if you're looking for images in a certain area, you can search for it that way. I also have a few images in here that are just kind of generic lifestyle images. And so there's a category in here that's lifestyle. So if I search for those, you'll see some of these are some of the old images that we had as default ones. Here's one of Red Rocks. There's some generic, pretty scenic ones and some interior shots as well. So Essential users, you have the option to use any of these photos in the community library here. And to add one to your banner images, you just hit the little upload or download button there. It just says this photo has been added. So now if I go back, I can use this button right here to go back to my banner image tool here. It'll pop up. And now it's showing that I've added this image in here. So the one difference in the banner photos that Deluxe users have is this new button. So Deluxe users have the option to add their own images or video to the front page of their site here. So if I use this new button, this new banner window is going to pop up. I give it a title. I have the option to upload my own image, and it gives you a little note here about what size, file size it should be, so it's not too big, but you also want it to fit right in the front page there. And I also have the option to upload video. So I can upload an actual video file, or if I have a short video already loaded onto YouTube or something, I can just put the YouTube URL here instead. So keep in mind, if you upload the actual video file, it needs to be short, keep it only to 3 or 4 seconds or so. You don't want any huge video files on the front page of your website because that's going to cause your site to load really slow. So keep that in mind. The other thing that Deluxe users can do is if you have a nice luxury listing that you'd like to feature on your website, you can do that here as well. You can upload an image from the listing images, and you can link to your listing by looking for it using the MLS ID. So what will happen is the system will find it in the MLS. Your image that shows up on the front page of your site here will have a link to that listing on the listing detail page of your website. So if someone is visiting your site and they like the look of that photo, they can click on it and actually go to the listing detail page and see that listing. So it's a nice way to feature a listing on the front page of your site if you like. Just know that once that listing is sold, that link will go away automatically, but the image will stay there until you actually take it down yourself. So just know that that'll happen. One of the other new things in here is that you could also link to another URL. So perhaps you want to link to, if you're again featuring a listing, maybe you'd like to link to the little website that Listings Magic created, or something like that. You can link to that URL. So again, someone could click on it and find more information about that listing. The other options in here are changing the heading and subheading. I found a little glitch with this here. It seems to be changing the heading and subheading above the search bar, which to me didn't quite make sense. I think it should be changing a heading and subheading, maybe that shows up for the link, but I'm going to have to look into that. So that's glitch number one that I found. And then you can order your images and videos however you like. So once I get that in there, I would just hit save at the bottom there, and it would add my image in here again. So one of the things that you can do in here is once you upload a few different images, you can drag and drop them and rearrange them right in here however you like. So if you want these in a different order, you can drag and drop them and move them around. And then if you want to remove any of them that you have in there, you just hit the remove button and it says remove. And you'll see your site will automatically update with the new changes. So the other thing in the Manage Banner tool here, you'll see now there's another tab for settings. We have a whole bunch of settings now for these banner images. There's a manual scroll that shows up on the bottom there. You can toggle that off. It's not going to show up right now because I only have one image, but that's those little dots that somebody could click on if they want to scroll through the images themselves. So you could turn that on or off. Some of the other settings in here is you can select the height option of your images. So right now the height mode is on auto. That means the screen adjusts to the size of the image. So if you have a bunch of different images in there and you have it set to auto, just know that your screen in your website might jump and change a little bit if your images are different sizes. Another option under here is screen height. I can set this to be screen height, which is what it is right now, meaning that this photo will remain at screen height no matter where or how, what the screen resolution is. You're always going to see the banner image above the fold, as your first screen here. The other option in there is fixed. You can tell it you want it a fixed height. So I can set a number of pixels here. And now you see it shortened the height of my banner image. So now the home valuation bar here is showing, and it will remain that height no matter what screen resolution this is at. If somebody's looking at it on mobile or on a smaller device or on a big screen on a computer, it's always going to remain that specific height. So we have a few different options here. And then the last thing down here is an overlay. You can choose to have either a darker or lighter overlay over your images in order to make the other things show up a little bit better. So your options are none, a light, or a dark. So if I say dark and lower the transparency, so transparency is saying, okay, how much of your photo do you want to show through the overlay? So I have a low number here. So if I hit save, See how it darkened everything? So now there's kind of a dark overlay over the photos, but it makes everything else on here in white pop out quite a bit more. So it's a good idea. You might want a little bit of an overlay there, depending on what your photos look like in the back there. Sometimes it's difficult to read, the navigation items or see the logo or whatnot, but an overlay can help with that. So those are all the new things in the banner photos, manage banner photos functions here. There's a few different new things in there. All right, so one of the biggest changes that has happened is now our front page looks quite a bit different. We have a lot of different sections on the front page down below here. And they've broken it up. IDC is calling these widgets. So every little section here is its own little widget. You'll see a little settings wheel here. You can change various elements of each of these widgets. So the first thing I want to show you is over on the left-hand side under the it'll have your name in there. Under there, you're going to see a new function called Manage Widgets. So if I click on this, it's going to show me all of the different widgets that are on the front page here. So now keep in mind, I am in a Deluxe account. So Deluxe users have all of these new widgets. An Essential user will not have this many. Essential users will basically have what they had on their site before, which is the home value estimate, which is that buy-side bar, the About Me section, featured and sold listings. And then they have the option of displaying the blog there and Real Satisfied. So those are the only ones that Essential users have. Deluxe users will have all of these. So in this Manage Widgets section, this is where you can choose to turn certain ones on or off if you don't want them to show on the front page of your site. So this one, I have Real Satisfied turned off right now because I'm in a test account and I don't have any Real Satisfied reviews. But I could turn that on. Since I don't have any Real Satisfied reviews, having it on isn't really going to do anything. Nothing's going to display. It's not going to come through. So I might as well turn it off. But the other cool thing you can do here is drag and drop these. So I can drag and drop and order them however I like on the front page of my site. So once you've ordered them and turned all the ones on, that you want displayed on the front page of your site, you just hit the Save button at the bottom. And any changes that you've made that you'll notice when you scroll down, everything will be a little bit different. It will be rearranged a little bit different, however you decided to arrange it. So I'm going to go through each of these little widgets, and we're going to cover what you can and can't do with them. Most of them you can edit the title. There's just, certain elements of each one that you can change. So the first one is the buy-side bar. Everybody had that on their website before, but now you can edit the header and the little subheader here. So if I click the little settings wheel there and hit edit, you can also choose to hide things at this point on the setting wheels instead of going to, back up above to the Manage Widgets. So if I hit edit here, you'll see that I have the heading. I can change that. I can change the font, the size of it, the color. I can make it bold. And there's a subheading as well that I can change. Again, font, the size, color, all of that different stuff. So I hit save here. This is going to change a little bit. So those are the options that you have for the home valuation buy-side bar there. All right, this next widget, this About Me This is your Vault profile bio that's coming through here. So this section, if you hit the edit for this section, you're going to notice that the only thing you can change here is the heading. But if you want to change the actual bio itself, oops, oh, I didn't hit change the color. I find myself doing that a lot. So if I go in here, once you change the color, you have to actually hit choose down here in order for the color to change. I've done that a few times where I forget to hit choose and then the color doesn't change. But if you want to change what's in that bio itself, you need to go back to the Vault, click on your little photo at the top right there, go to your profile, and scroll down to your bio. So here is the bio that's coming through on the front page here. So if I want to change this, I need to click on it, make my changes. Again, you can change the font. There's all kinds of tools here, stuff that you could do. You could actually add images in there if you wanted to. I hit OK at the bottom once I made my changes. And now I'm still in my profile here. I have to save my profile or hit save and close here. So now if I go back to my website, you see it didn't immediately change. So what we can do is either click on the logo at the top here. That'll kind of refresh your site. Still did not change, you'll notice. So one of the tricks with the web builder here is if you don't notice a change right away on your site that you've made, one way to really check is to go up to this button here and hit clear website cache and log out. So this will clear the cache for your website. It logs you out of web builder, and then you will be seeing your site as a visitor would see it. You see that I no longer have that bar at the top. So I'm no longer in editing mode. I'm seeing my site as a visitor would see it. And now you see, now that I've cleared the cache, my bio changes are now coming up. So just know that little trick. If you're not seeing your changes right away, most of the time you'll see what you're doing on the fly in this front-facing editor. But if you don't, in this case, in the bio, clear the cache and log out and see if it works then. All right. So now, if I want to get back to the web builder, I have to go back to the Vault and hit the web builder tile again in order to get back into editing mode. So now I'm back in editing mode here. And that change is still there. All right. So next, the featured and sold listings. Everybody had those sections on their site before. Both Essential and Deluxe users have them, both of them on the sites. And there are a few different things that you can do with featured listings and sold properties now. So there are two ways that you can manage those. The buttons to manage my featured listings and sold properties are up here as they were before, under that button in the top. And they're also down here. If you go into that widget and you hit the little settings wheel, you can manage my featured listings here as well. So if I go to the edit section, the one thing that I'm going to be able to edit is, of course, that title there. Again, I can change the title, the font, the size, the color, all of that. And we also have a couple of different template options. So these are just some different ways that the preview comes through. So you can kind of see, and I know it's little, but you know, this one has a lot of the information on the photo, and then this one just has the address on the photo, and this one has all the information below the photo. So if I select that first option, you're going to see that these little preview images are going to change a little bit. And my site's slowing down. There we go. And it's taking a minute to come back up. But now you see my little preview images have changed. The address and a lot of the information is now on the photo. So there's a couple of different options there for how you want these to look. We also have some new things in the Manage My Featured Listings and Sold Properties tools. So if I click on that one, if it'll go, come on. Site's getting slow. There are a few different things that you can do in here with your featured listings. So as in both featured and sold properties, you can search manually for an MLS number if there's something that's not coming through. Now your featured listings, all of your active listings should be coming through automatically to your website. If you're not seeing your active listings here, it might be that we need to tie your MLS ID to your Vault account. That's something myself or Kim or your OA can do. So let someone know if you're not seeing your listings coming through. That should automatically happen. If you don't have very many listings, if you only have one or two, what it'll do is it'll show yours first by default, and then it'll bring in some office listings. But now if you go into this tool though, we do have some options as to what is displayed there. So depending on what you chose here is what's going to come through. So you can choose to show your listings only. But keep in mind, if you don't have any current active listings, then, nothing's going to show up if you're opting not to have any other office listings show up. So you can choose to have my listings with photos only showing up, none of the information. Or you can choose to have my listings and office listings come through. And here's a new little function here. You can opt to feature a saved search, a certain property or MLS search to come through here rather than your active listings, if you like. So if I say I'd like to do a saved search instead, it's going to bring up all of my saved searches that I've created in the Vault. And I'll show you how to do that real quick. So if I go back to the Vault here, under listings, one of the options here is my saved searches. So that's where those searches are coming from. You can create any number of MLS searches in here for a certain area, a neighborhood, whether you're looking for active listings or solds or whatever, you can create your search here. So if I want to create a new one, I just hit the new button, give it a name, and then when you click on this criteria box, you're going to see search criteria that's similar to our Home Finder report in the Vault. And just as the Home Finder and the Property Detail Report, there are these two tabs. You can do a regular search. You see all of, it's kind of similar to what you would do, within the MLS. You can choose, to do a radius search around a property, choose whether you're looking for active or sold listings, property type, make sure you get type in there. And then you can narrow it down to number of bedrooms or baths, or, if you're going around a certain zip code or something like that. But you can create a search in here for any type of property that you like for any area. There's also a map search over here. So this will bring up a little map where you can actually use these drawing tools, draw a shape on the map if you're trying to narrow into, just a certain area. Whenever you draw a shape, it'll ask you to save it and give it a name. So I can go back to any of my shapes that I've drawn before. And then you can use this little chevron icon here to toggle the rest of the search criteria here. So a lot of those search criteria that you saw on the first tab are here as well in the map. So once you draw your shape, then you select whether you're looking for active or sold listings, property type, if you want to narrow down to bedrooms, bathrooms, anything like that. But just keep in mind, use one of these tabs or the other. Don't switch back and forth. Don't start putting criteria in the first one and then go to the map, because you'll lose the information from the first one. You should be able to accomplish what you're looking for in either, one or the other, one tab or the other, but don't try to use both. Okay, that's the little trick on that one. So once you get your search criteria in there, you just hit save and close, and then it adds your saved search to that list here. So these are searches that are going to constantly be updating as new MLS information comes in. So you don't need to go back and change this search unless you're changing the criteria at all. But these are always going to be updated with the new MLS data that comes through to our websites. So that's how you could feature a saved search on your website instead of your active listings. You could do that instead. So now that saved search is coming through. And I'm seeing only those homes in that search criteria in Windsor here. So if I were to do that, I would go back and change the title. Instead of my featured listings, I might want to say featured listings of Highland Meadows of Windsor or something like that. So that's a little bit different option that we didn't have before. The other things in the Manage My Featured Listings is you also have options of how you want these to display. My listings first, new listings first, price low to high. You can change some of those options as well. So keep in mind, if I put my listings first here, nothing's going to come up because I chose to do a saved search instead of my listings. So just keep that in mind. All right, the sold properties operate pretty much the same way. There aren't quite as many options with the sold properties. So sold listings, if I click on the little gear icon here, you'll see I have the edit options again for the heading. Same template styles as well, so I can change that. Here's the third style that has all the information below the image instead of on it. But in the sold properties, there's only a few options over here as to how you want them to display. Recently sold first or priced high to low. Now, sold data is not always accurate. We don't always get accurate sold data from the MLSs. So this is the area where you may or may not see your sold properties. So again, you can manually add one if it's not showing up. Just search for it by the MLS number and bring it up. And when you do that, anytime you search for a property, I'm just going to see if I can get something to come up here. I'm just randomly picking one up here. So anytime you search for something to come through, you'll see it come through here. But in order for it to display on your website, you'll have to click the green plus sign to actually get it to display on your website. So just remember that. Just because it shows up here doesn't mean it will display. You need to click that so that says this property has been added to your sold properties. Okay. So there's just that one little extra step. You have to hit the green plus sign in order to get it to show up in your sold properties. All right. Same thing with the red X's here. So if you see, you might have some duplicates coming through, especially those folks in the Boulder area. If you're putting in listings in both Iris and RE Colorado, we do have logic in place on our websites to eliminate duplicates. But sometimes they do still come through, especially if each listing was entered slightly differently, you know, if it's you know, ST instead of street or something like that, sometimes both of them will come through. So if you're seeing a lot of duplicates in your sold properties, this is a quick way that you could get rid of duplicates as well. Any of these with the red X, if I hit the red X, it's going to say that one's been removed. So you could go through and remove duplicates that way as well. So now you see there's a green check mark. If I wanted that one to display on my website, then I'd have to hit the green check mark. All right. So that's featured listings and sold properties. And again, both Essential and Deluxe users have both of those on their website. You can choose whether or not you want to display those through the Manage Widgets tool. All right, we'll move down to some new things here. So this is a video widget, and this is only available for Deluxe users, but it's a widget that you could feature a video if you like. So if I go into the settings of this one, you'll see I can change the heading again, of course, but now my content, I can write what it's about. Again, changing the font, the size, and all of that good stuff. But now I can add a video here. And there's a little note that says use the embed video URL here. So just in case you're wondering what that is, if you go to, that means that first of all, the video needs to be hosted somewhere already. So it's got to be on YouTube or Vimeo or, you know, one of those platforms where videos are uploaded. So a lot of the times when you're then viewing the video, what you can do is grab the embed code. So I'm just on our Homes in Colorado channel here, where all of those market videos do show up. So understand, if you want to feature a market video in this area, you're going to have to get the embed code here. You can't get it off of the URL from homesincolorado.com. That's a little bit different. It needs to be an embed URL. So when I'm viewing videos on YouTube here, there's always a share option. And pretty much any platform is going to have this. There's going to be that share option. So if I hit this, you'll see that there's an embed option right here. So here's the URL right here, but that's not the one that I want. I want the embed URL. So I'm going to go to embed here. And what it gives me is the whole iframe code that you would use if you were going to place this video on a web page. You would use all of this code, but we only want just the URL, which, if I can get it here, is only this HTTPS part. It's not going to look, it only lets me select the whole thing. So what I would do is, if you're having trouble getting it to select what you want, is copy and paste the whole thing. And then, oh, here, I can do it maybe with, I just want this URL part right here, the HTTPS, the embed code. So I could do that with my arrow keys. If you're having, oh, there it goes, it selects the whole thing. So if you want, you can copy and paste the whole thing and then just, you know, pick the code, the embed URL out of there. But that's the part that you want to have in the tool there. So you'll see this is the embed URL. It actually has the word embed in it. So just make sure you have the right URL there, or it won't play properly within this widget. But you also have the option to add a more video URL. So if I want to create a link to the rest of the channel, or if I have a playlist somewhere that I want to link to, I can put that link there. And if I hit save, it's going to create a little button to more videos. Come on. So now I have a little button to the rest of my channel where someone could see more videos. So that's the little video widget. The next one is a custom content widget. This is just kind of a blank widget where you could put any kind of content in there that you like. So if I click on this one is only for Deluxe users, and I hit edit. This one you can see you can change the heading, just like all the other ones. But now I have a content area. If I click on this area, I'm going to get all of those editing tools that you see in your Vault profile. Deluxe users, you see all these tools when you create a new page on your site. All of that stuff, you can add whatever you want here. Text, you can add video, you can add images, links, you can do whatever you want in this section. This would also be a good place to add, you can go to the source code here. If you have a, like a weather widget, or like when we were picking up that YouTube video, if you want to do the whole embed code and embed a video in this area, you can paste that code here. Anytime that you're copying any kind of iframe code or anything like that, you would paste it within the source code of this widget. So there's a lot of flexibility here. There were quite a few Deluxe users on our old platform that had a lot of videos and different things on the front pages of their sites. I know Tom Witzel on the call here was one of those folks. We did have some freelance designers who would do this because Deluxe users had the option of putting something else on their front page, but they were able to do that with that front page bio and put all kinds of things in that area to display on the front page of their site. Well, this custom content widget is where all of that content went. So that's where it's sitting right now. But there's a lot of flexibility with this one, a lot you can do. So whenever I change anything, I just hit save so the changes show up on my site. That's taking a long time. All right. The next thing we have are featured communities and neighborhoods. You can feature different communities and neighborhoods on the front page of your site now. So this is a good way to use all of those community pages that we have and the 1,000+ neighborhood pages that we recently created with all of the local logic information. This is a great way to feature some of those areas. If you are an expert in a certain area, put those on your website. So these featured communities and neighborhoods, these are widgets that only Deluxe users have. And there's a few little things to keep in mind with both of them. So if I hit the little settings wheel for featured communities, I hit the edit button, you're going to see the only things I can edit here are the heading again and the template style. So I can change how these are laid out. But you're going to see I don't have the option to choose which communities that I want to feature here. So that, again, is in your Vault profile. And here I've changed the layout a little bit. So if I go back to the Vault, I'm going to go back into my profile. And you'll see there's two new sections right at the top here for featured communities and featured neighborhoods. So this is where I selected the communities that I wanted to feature on the front page of my site. I have 4 of them selected there. And if there's any neighborhoods I want to feature, I can start typing names in here. You can hit the browse button, but you can see here, I have not selected any neighborhoods. So here's what happens. If you don't have any selected and you've chosen to show those widgets on the front page of your site, here's what happens. It's going to choose some random ones for me. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't chosen any to display on your site, but you have this widget on, it's going to randomly choose some for you. And here's another little issue that we have with these neighborhoods. We have over 1,000 different neighborhood pages that we created not long ago, but we don't have photos for them all. I've gone through and added as many photos as I could out of our community photos library, but there are so many we do not have photos for. So just know that some of them might come up with nothing. What is supposed to happen here by default is if there's no photo for that neighborhood, it's going to grab the first photo of the highest price listing in that neighborhood. So that's why you're seeing these listing photos come through. Third, if there's no listings in that neighborhood, it should default back to the main community photo that that neighborhood is under, which I see isn't happening here. So this is a little glitch again that I need to report. So just know if there are some neighborhoods that you are an expert at, that you've done a lot of business, a lot of transactions in, you're there a lot, take some photos, please. You guys are the ones that are out and about, driving around in these areas. And I mean, there's still leaves on the trees right now. You know, things are going to be really pretty in the fall when they start changing. But man, if you could snap a few photos and send them to me, I would love to add those photos to these neighborhood pages. So please, if you have some neighborhoods that you would like to feature on your website and you see that there's no photos for them, please, if you can, if you're out there and, you know, driving around and you're in that area, snap a few pictures and send them to me and I can get them in there. Okay. So that's one little problem that we have with the neighborhoods here. We have so many and just no pictures for them. So keep that in mind when you're featuring them. So now you saw in my Vault profile, I only chose 4 communities up here in the community section. If I choose this other layout that has 8 of them, in this section, it's not going to randomly choose 4 more for me. It's only going to display those 4. They're just in a little bit different, you know, because it's just one row of that layout. So if you want that layout of 8 different communities, you're going to have to choose 8 of them in your profile. This one doesn't operate the same as the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods will automatically bring some in if you didn't choose them. But you also have the option to change the template here as well in the neighborhood widget. So that's kind of a neat way to display the communities and neighborhoods that we have on our website. All right, coming down to the last couple of widgets here. This latest news one, this is the blog widget. So on my test site, I've started my own blog. So those are my 2 little test blog entries. So if you're choosing to preview the blog on the front page of your website. Sorry, Mike, what is the definition for communities? Is it cities? We created, here, I'll show you on Homes in Colorado. We have a bunch of different communities. There's about, let's see, there's 39 of them. So we basically came up with communities along the Front Range where we have offices, you know, where our agents are, you know, having transactions. So there's quite a few in here. There's not every single one. But yeah, these are just kind of communities that we have chosen over the years, you know, that are common areas where our agents are operating transactions. So there are quite a few of them. There's 39 of them. And then when you go to each community, there's a map of, there's a list as well as a map of all the neighborhoods that we feature within that community area. Does that answer your question, Mike? Yeah, it is basically cities. Yeah, the communities are basically cities, yeah. And then we broke them out into, you know, a lot of the neighborhoods in the area, So every community has a bunch of neighborhoods. So, I mean, we have thousands, over 1,000 neighborhood pages that were created, IDC created for us, but we just don't necessarily have, you know, the content. We don't have a description, we don't have photos, we don't have, you know, that kind of information for all of them. Okay. All right, the blog. So both Essential and Deluxe users have the ability to start blogging. And that is up here at the 3 dots at the top here. You see this new blog. So Deluxe users can make any number of pages on their sites with a new page button, but both can opt to start blogging. So you have the ability to start your own blog. If you link to the blog in your navigation, or if you have it on the front page of your site using the widget, if you have not started blogging yourself, then the company blog will come through here. So I started a couple of blogs on my test account here. So my blog entries are coming through here. So again, if I hit the edit button, the only thing I can edit right here is the title. The blog content is actually in the blog tool. Okay. Or if I go to my blog in the navigation here, that's where I'm going to see my blog entries. And this is where I can edit them if I like. You can click on ones that I've already published and edit them from here. Okay. So you can feature your blog on the front page of your site now. And then this last widget here is a little monthly market report widget. I'm having them change this photo because obviously this photo has nothing to do with us or this area. I don't like it, but that is in the works. Just know that I'm putting a nice front range kind of Denver aerial photo right there. Unfortunately, and I've also asked them if someone could upload their own photo. This was something that they said no to. I'm going to keep fighting for that one because I think that's silly. I think you should be able to add your own photo here. But the one thing that I can change here is the heading, monthly market reports. And what this is it's just a little call to action to a visitor on your site if they want to view a market report for a certain area. So if you just start typing something in there and select it, they can view the market report right then. It'll show up on the page. So someone could view the report right away. Excuse me. Or they can hit the subscribe button. So this will register them on your website and subscribe them to the monthly market reports for that area. So this is just another little kind of lead capture for you on the front page of your website. Okay, so those are all the new widgets on the front page of the website. Again, Deluxe users have all of them. Essential users will not have all of those new things. All right, there's one more area. I know I might go over an hour just by a few minutes here, but there's one more area that I need to show you of all the new things. And under your name on the left here, there's website settings and layout. There's some new things in here. So website settings, everybody is going to have these settings options here. You can just toggle through the different tabs there. This first one is the heading. This is the heading and subheading that shows up above the big search bar on the front page there. So again, you can change that, change the size, the font color, all of that good stuff. And you can see here, it looks like it was defaulted to black, but I think it's all showing up as white. Yep, it's showing up as white here. And that's probably because I chose to darken my banner image in the back here. So obviously you don't want black text, it's not going to show up. The other thing you can change here, we do have a few color themes. So if I hit a different color here, you'll see there's certain elements on my website that change. We have different color themes. You have the option to upload your own logo. So if you are part of a team or you have your own branding, you can upload your logo and it will show up right next to the RE/MAX Alliance logo over here on the right. So you can have both logos on your website. This Google Analytics area, we had this before, it was in a different area, but if you're using Google Analytics to track your website traffic, anybody can sign up for a Google Analytics account. It's free. You just go in there, and once you start an account, you put your Homes in Colorado URL in there so it connects to your website. But the other thing you need to do is you need to take the tracking code in your Google Analytics account and put it here. So that Google Analytics makes that connection between Google Analytics and your website. The other thing that they've added, and I've had quite a few agents ask for this in the past, is Facebook pixel code. So if you're doing some Facebook advertising, you have to have pixel script on your website in order for Facebook to be able to track who's coming to your site if you're using your site as a landing page for your Facebook advertising. This is where you would put it. We copy and paste that code and put it here. We also have an area for any custom script. So if you are using any other kind of platform to do some advertising or whatever, and it says you need to place this script on your website, this is where you put it. Any other kind of script, like an iframe or something like that, that's actually going to show up on the front page of your site, you want to put in the custom content widget. So just keep in mind there's two different areas. This script would just be for code, like for tracking purposes only. It's not something that's necessarily going to show up on the front page of your site, but it needs to be there for tracking purposes, right? And this last tab here, we have some registration preferences. So you can set, if you are using your website as a landing page for advertising efforts or whatever, you can set whether you want a hard or soft registration on your website. So when folks visit your website, they'll be prompted to register after, you know, they look at 2 properties or something like that, but you can set that here. So, and there's little notes here explaining to you exactly what it is. So if you set it for hard registration, that is going to require somebody to register on your site before they are allowed to view anything else. So if I set this to hard registration, then I can select how many pages that person is allowed to view before that registration prompt pops up and asks them to register. So if you have it on hard registration, they have to register in order to view more pages on your site. If you have it on soft registration, that prompt will come up after they view 3 pages, but they can choose to skip it and continue looking at your site. So those are the differences there. And I've had some agents ask for this because if you are using your site as a lead generation tool, that's one of the things that you'd want. You'd want to prompt people to register in order to look at things on your site. So this is one way you can do it. We have those options now. And again, once you make any changes, you want to hit the save button down at the bottom. So the one last thing in these website settings and layout is the change layout. And just as before, if you are a Deluxe user, you have 4 different layouts that you can choose from here. Essential users only have this first one that I have here. So as a Deluxe user, I can flip through these, select the one I want. I can preview it first if I like. But I select that one and see it's changed my template to the style that I selected. All right. So those are all the new things in our new web builder that just launched. Again, all of the changes are pretty much on the front page here. Nothing has changed with any interior pages that Deluxe users have created or their navigation. The navigation should work the same, and everything you had there before should still be there. But these are just new front page changes that everyone should be aware of. So we'll take a few minutes here. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Right now, now's your chance. Speak up. You can unmute yourself and just speak up if you like. No, nobody? All right. All right, well, thank you all for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. I hope this was helpful. And again, I am recording, so I will be posting this in the Vault training videos so that we have a video of our own platform with all the new web builder stuff. Okay? Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.